Norway is bracing for impact as an intense bomb cyclone threatens to bring wind gusts close to 200 kilometers per hour. This storm is just a continuation of a very active pattern for this part of Europe, and we still have yet another large system on the way as we start February. Despite this relentless train of storms, February is bringing big changes all across Europe. In this two-part forecast, we're going to discuss that information in greater detail, analyzing the timing and impacts. We will also discuss the return of California's atmospheric river and what that will mean for those of you in the path. Without further delay, let's begin with Chapter 1. The first thing I wanted to talk about is this right here. It doesn't look like much, but it's actually the storm which will become a bomb cyclone. It's going to move north and east very quickly throughout the day today into tomorrow, and as it does so, we expect it to explode in strength, especially as it passes Iceland. This will put it into position to make landfall in Norway late Wednesday night into early Thursday, with hurricane-force wind gusts and extremely heavy snow. It will work its way inland rather quickly, impacting Sweden and Finland later in the day on Thursday. The associated cold front will sweep down into parts of Central and Eastern Europe, with mainly some light precip, gusty winds, and a slight drop in temperature. Once that system moves through by February 2nd into the 3rd, temperatures are going to rise once again, just in time for the next big system which I'm keeping a close eye on. This one looks to approach from the west on February 4th, impacting the British Isles and Scandinavia initially, and then over the course of 2 days it will cross Europe, bringing strong winds, rain, snow, and another wave of cold air. It's a little bit hard to see, but over here in Western Russia we see widespread snow showers, but that's actually a pretty strong low pressure center. Let me turn on the isobars to show you what I mean, and you can see this could get down to about 960 millibars possibly, so we might even have to watch this storm for a blizzard potential in this part of Europe. So let's rewind this back to January 30th and focus in on the Eastern Mediterranean. We actually have a separate system happening out here which I've been referring to as a cutoff low, and this is going to bring heavy storms and strong winds, especially to the island of Cyprus, through the end of the month. This entire area is experiencing scattered storms and rainfall, but a distinct area of low pressure will continue to organize going into Wednesday as it rides very close to Cyprus, but by the first day of February, it's going to crash into Turkey, ultimately ending this very delicate low pressure. We're going to come back to the weather models in just a bit because I wanted to show you when I'm expecting a drastic change in the weather pattern, but first we need to take a closer look at what's happening right now. As I was filming this video, they did update the warnings, and we now have red warnings all along central Norway, especially for coastal areas. Locally, there's a possibility of extreme wind gusts above 45 meters per second from west, and later northwest and hurricane force 12 at the coast, and also wind gusts above 35 meters per second in inland areas. The wind will increase first in the south and decrease last in the north. It is dangerous to be outdoors, and unusually significant damage to buildings, infrastructure, forests, and power supplies is expected. Expect canceled departures for ferry, plane, or other transport. Bridges may be closed, roof tiles may be blown off houses and buildings. Allow a lot of extra time for transportation and driving, even for short journeys. Many roads may be closed due to trees or other objects. Blowing snow can cause reduced visibilities. The strong winds may cause locally high waves in fjords and lakes. If you must drive, follow the advice from the Norwegian Public Roads Administration and check road reports. Prepare your home for a potentially long power outage, and in advance consider measures to limit damage. This is the expected snowfall just within the next 3 days, so this covers the time frame when we expect this storm to impact Norway. Look at how high these snow accumulations will be in western areas of the country, with some places reaching 40 to 50 centimeters of snowfall, with accumulations exceeding 100 centimeters in that red shade, and you can see that in northern parts of Norway. This pattern won't last forever, as I am tracking a big change coming as early as February 9th, so let's head back over to the weather models to show you what I mean. I personally think that these changes will be a little bit more drastic, especially for southern Europe, since some areas haven't seen any rainfall for quite some time. Watch what happens as we pass February 9th. We start seeing storms impact southwestern Europe again before heading towards the Mediterranean. It also looks like some colder air will be hanging around further north, So any moisture that moves into there could start bringing back snow chances for parts of northwestern and central Europe. For now, we just have to keep an eye on these trends since this is pretty far away, so this will definitely be something interesting to keep an eye on. The system I'm going to be watching out for is right here over the Pacific Ocean, and it's going to bring some heavy rainfall to California. It's going to move in by the 31st before spreading across the rest of the state for the first day or two of February. Parent low pressure area will meander off the coast, helping to push rainfall and snow across much of the Intermountain West going into the 2nd and 3rd. And then once that energy reaches the plains, we see a new system develop. We'll come back to that in just a moment because we're not done talking about the West. Look at this second storm that shows up off of California with a pretty strong central pressure. This will swing another round of heavy rainfall and mountain snow into the state between the 4th and the 5th, but it will weaken thereafter. We can't forget about that first system, which looks to become a cross-country storm. So we're going to rewind this back to about February 2nd. Watch as this low pressure area produces widespread rain and storms as it spins over the high plains. And then once it pivots the cold front towards the east, it's going to gain access to warm and moist Gulf air, resulting in very heavy rainfall, especially closer to the coast. This will impact Florida by February 4th as the low pressure drifts towards the south and east, before clearing out by the 7th. This is the total precipitation for the next 7 days, and as we would expect, California is going to be heavily affected by this pair of storms. That first system is going to move inland, bringing heavy rainfall across the southern plains into the southeast, so that's why you see these widespread purple shades. Next up, we have some hazard outlooks I wanted to show you, and these will help you put into perspective how impactful these storms will be. Starting with the precipitation map, we see a high risk of heavy precipitation from southern and central California into western Arizona, and that's mainly because this region doesn't typically see this much rain. And the snowfall hazard map has some slight risks in the purple regions, a moderate risk in the pink, which does include the southern Rockies and Great Basin, but we even have a high risk of heavy snow in that darker pink, which extends from the central Sierras into Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. Lastly, a slight risk of high winds has been placed from the west coast to the southern plains, with a moderate risk for the southwest. That's going to conclude today's forecast, but make sure you are prepared for these incoming storms in Europe and North America. Remember to subscribe so you never miss my weather forecasts and updates, and consider leaving a comment if you have any feedback or questions. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next one.